back here on the platform this evening speaking with Mr. John W. Ferguson, the superintendent of the Big Harvest Community Sunday School. Godfrey?
Mr. Ferguson,
Yes, sir.
you know, being 70 odd gives you certain advantages.
Yes.
And from my perspective, we as a people have gone through 2 or 3 periods of social transformation, which we have been failed to adjust to. My generation, when we came home from school, our mothers were in the house. All right? Most women didn't go out to work. Even in Wendell's generation. How many of you all it was?
Plenty.
Right? His mother was home. Right? And then you had a different kind of community. Today, everybody working, the mother working, the father working, the children come home from school, nobody's in the house. Some of them don't even come straight home from school. They're wandering all over the place. We have not adjusted. We have not adjusted to the social transformation which has taken place in our country during the second half of the 20th century. How do you respond to that, or do you agree to that?
Well, a lot of the things you said is true. The time that is now needed to put into our homes, the 24 hours in the day, if the mother waking 8 to 12 hours in the day, before you know it, it's time to go to bed and sleep because the time is gone. The comparison between when you and perhaps Mr. Jones and a little of myself were growing up, our parents put time into us. They did not.
They had no education, no big education.
No, they had no education, but they realized that if they wanted their son or their daughter to be something, they had to put time into that. And if they couldn't do it, they sent her to their sister, their mother, the neighbor, and everybody had a hand in molding that young fella. And that's why he could identify with the whole neighborhood. But today, it's a different story.
That's the problem.
Nobody trusts one another. You know, everybody says, well, that's my child, and you don't touch my child, and I ain't trusting my child with you, etc., etc. And that's the reason why I'm saying we need more programs that are oriented to suit what is happening in our neighborhoods.
Yeah,
Times have changed.
But you know, the bottom line is that a whole lot of people don't know who their neighbors are. People live next door to them, over the street from them.
Yeah.
They really just don't know, and they don't care.
But in times of crisis, they know. When there's national calamity, hurricanes, everybody on the line looking for water.
But isn't it about what we value? What is really important to us? What is really important to the parent? And what is important as a consequence to the child?
But let me cut that is the point. To your parents and to my parents and to your parents, what is important is education.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You had to get
Education,
be
yes.
educated.
Yes.
Go to school.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yes.
I agree.
Yes. So in terms of what we hold as important is different today than it was back then. What is important today
Right.
is some stuff.
Yeah,
material things. Yeah,
things.
yeah. That
Okay.
is
Yeah.
substitute. Yeah.
How many flat screen televisions you can acquire.
What kind of
iPad.
shoes you wear.
What kind of bag
Yeah.
the lady has on her
Yeah,
shoulder.
yeah.
Those are things that are important to us. The kind of tennis shoes that they buy for Johnny.
Right.
Johnny is only 5 years old, but they figure Johnny should have an expensive pair of tennis shoes.
Yeah.
At Christmas time, Johnny has to get an expensive toy at some electronics
Yeah,
store
yeah.
that costs some
iPad or something.
$600
Yeah.
or whatever.
I agree.
What is important in terms of what Johnny is internalizing? We've missed the mark.
Yeah.
We are off base. And because the entire community is off base, this value system has changed. How do you fix that?
That's the problem.
You see,
That's the problem.
You see, that can be fixed, but it's not going to be fixed overnight. Why? Because we have a generation that has inherited a keen sight for what they see is what they want. And what they want is what they're going to get. When you have what I would call, with all of this internet and all of this technology and all of this instant gratification on whatever you want, that's what you inherit. That's what you inherit too from being close to what I would call a capitalistic world.
Consumer world.
Consumer world.
Yeah.
It's about money. It's about, what I can get. Nothing wrong with having a good education. That's important. That's the key. Education can open the key to many doors. But I always look for relevant common sense. You see, common sense and plenty of education, man, you could do a lot of things.
See, that's why I tell you, in my era, right? Bahamas was poor,
Oh, yeah.
Bahamas was a poor place.
But
people
progressive.
People had pride.
Yes.
Mr. Ferguson, I have a grandson who is around 10 years old. Mr. Eneas encourages his mother to buy expensive stuff.
Yeah.
I complain to the mother
Yeah.
that these things are too expensive. Why are you spending all of this money? Mr. Eneas says, leave the boy alone, because he's just like me.
Yeah.
Because when I grew up, I had expensive things.
Yeah.
I'm trying to fix my situation with my daughter and my grandson. This man getting in the way.
I see. Okay.
And he has bought into this thing about consumerism and stuff.
I see.
You see where we have a problem? He's my friend.
Yeah. Well, you see, I always say.
He's right here to defend himself,
Well, okay, I will allow him to do that.
Mr. Ferguson.
Because there are some serious allegations.
Mr. Ferguson. Mr. Ferguson. Too many of our youngsters grow up depraved.
Yeah. See?
Depraved.
Yeah.
Right? I don't want Kenny doesn't have to grow up depraved. That's, me and father's argument, he doesn't have to grow up depraved.
Okay.
That is why some people say, boy, when I was small, I wish I had this. And now that I got a couple of dollars, I can get this.
Yeah.
Or, you know what I mean? Because there's a depravity, a void in their life.
So, let me put it in perspective. There's nothing wrong with having good things, There's nothing wrong.
That's a good comeback.
There's nothing wrong with having good things. If you could afford to buy
Exactly.
your children or your grandchild something expensive, you could afford that. Nothing wrong with that.
But it's not the be all and end all.
No. But
That's
now,
the difference.
But now you could. I don't know if you ever meet a youngster who you give him something expensive, and man, the next thing you know, that down the road that break up, because he cannot appreciate the value that you place in buying that particular item.
Yeah. But the bottom line is that we have to take the emphasis off the material.
Oh, definitely, most definitely.
And I don't know how you can achieve that in the kind of society that we have.
Yeah.
It's difficult.
And I just wonder if we are too far gone, this phenomenon that we have in the society.
We are not too far gone. What needs to happen really now is we need to stop the train. How we can do that, I don't know. But we have to slow and stop the train and redefine our priorities. A country with a national plan, a national development plan, you can't be ad hoc. You must have a strategic plan as to where the country is now and where you want it to be in the next 20 years.
Yeah, but you have to examine your quality of life index. And determine what makes a good quality life. What a good quality life is all about.
Yes.
The happiness index, if you please.
Yeah.
What makes you happy? What makes Johnny, who is 15 years old, happy? How does he measure a good quality life? And a good quality life for him might be the acquisition of stuff.
Yeah. That's temporary.
Rather than a good education, being able to read, being able to sit around the dinner table and have a good conversation with the family, means that you go places with your father.
Yes.
You see what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah.
What is a good quality life to the 15-year-old, the 16-year-old? Because they are in search of things, of something.
Yeah.
There is a void. There is a vacuum for many of these people. And so they turn to all sorts of nefarious deeds.
In conjunction with what Randy just said, this generation has been inundated with satellite television.
Yeah.
And if someone in Asia, someone in South Africa, everybody look alike.
True.
Everybody look alike. So you have this globalization of the culture where everybody everybody want to be like everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You see, I'm going to let you speak right now. You see, as for me and for Godfrey, even at this stage, what makes us happy is not sitting down in a bar
Right.
and drinking.
Read
Right.
a book.
What makes us happy is perhaps reading a book
True.
and discussing something that is intellectual, right?
Right.
And not hanging out to the first ride.
Well,
No, I'm not saying that something is wrong with that.
right.
But all I'm saying to you is our young people need to find out what true happiness is, what makes them happy. And I am persuaded that happiness to the vast majority of young men in particular is getting involved in gangs, getting involved in some misdeeds.
You know something? If he goes away, you go to Barnes and Noble and bring me back a book. Say, boy, read this.
No, I could appreciate that because my son, he stays with books.
Yeah.
Every time you see him, he have a book in his hand. And he can read a book, book after book after book. The point I'm making is, what has happened in our society, and this is fundamental and this is true. The home structure where happiness originates has been abandoned. So the little fella, he's sitting down perhaps in a little dark corner and he can't even relate to anybody in that house because daddy ain't there, mommy going to work, and the neighborhood boys, they're the ones who keeping him happy doing
foolishness.
nonsense.
Yeah.
So he developed that kind of culture. This is his happiness. And he grew up with that, hanging on the corner with the boys, doing this with the boys, until he eventually graduated from one level of culture to the next level, and then he ended up in Fox Hill. In comparison to the other youngster who has a home environment where there is love, there's peace, there's a structured family program where he know when he come from school, homework. No computers. You do your homework. You know when he come from school, no basketball playing, homework. There's a structured program, but because of the way our country has evolved, where, as you know, the statistics now show the tremendous amount of babies that are born out of wedlock, creating a different culture in comparison to 50 years ago. Most of us were products of the family structure. And when you deviate from that, man, you're on your own. You are really on your own because that was not God's plan.
It's because of what drives people. And if you are driven by money and sex, then what you expect is what drives you.
But that's why I'm saying we are reaping
Yes.
the product of that. And that is why we have a society now where people wondering, well, why, how we get to this level?
Now-
But you know, here again, Jones and I, there's societies that are past this, you know. You go to the Nordic countries, where the claim is people don't even go to church. Those countries are highly civilized. You could go in Norway and walk around at 12 o'clock in the night,
Well, you see,
and nobody bother you.
different culture, different ideology, and a different discipline. See, that's another thing that is lacking, discipline and order. Their countries, there's order, there's discipline. You see, and there are consequences.
Order, that's the word,
You see,
order.
there is consequences
Yeah.
if you
Do
if you, if,
foolishness.
you, if you deviate from that.
Yeah, it's order.
You see, there's order.
Yeah.
It's like if you have a house and your son coming in 3 o'clock in the morning,
Nobody
and
say nothing.
nobody say nothing to him, and you can't say nothing to him because he slap you, man, that's a big problem. That means there's no order. Somebody have to go.
Yeah, you know, I had a policeman on one of our shows, and he said to me that he went to some homes and
Yeah.
parents can't get in
In
the
the
child room
No,
because the child has the room locked
Locked,
all the
yeah.
time.
there we
and,
go.
You know,
There's a breakdown of order in that house.
yes, the child.
Yeah, in charge.
So you can't
In
go in that
charge.
room.
Could that have happened in when we were coming up?
Well, your room had no lock in the first place. You know, so you know.
No, we allowed some things to slip.
So we have an ill-disciplined society.
Yeah, there's been some slippage.
Mm-hmm.
But all is not lost, and I must say that, you know, without any hesitation, all is not lost because there is a cadre of young people, and I see them every day. And that's why it's a joy for me, particularly on Sunday afternoon when I go in Woods Alley and I see this huge amount of youngsters only waiting to be taught, to be embraced, to be told that they can be somebody. You know, this Sunday, this rally that's coming up, we're going to bring in a Rhodes Scholar in Woods Alley to show the youngsters that a Rhodes Scholar can also come from Woods Alley.
Who's the Rhodes Scholar?
Dr. Desiree Cox.
Oh, okay.
She's coming in
Oh,
from
she's-
London
She's here, yeah.
to be one of our special guests.
Yeah.
And the reason behind that is because I want to showcase to our young people that their models don't have to come from across the seas. Their models is right among us. Right among us. But we have gold nuggets among us.
Yeah, but
George recognized Bishop Ellis and some Davis
Oh, yes.
fellows this week, right? And the point he was making is Bahamian exceptionalism.
Yeah.
And he, over the years through the Civil Society Awards, he's been trying to highlight Bahamian exceptionalism.
Yes.
And Desiree Cox is one of them.
Oh, yeah, she's one of 3 Rhodes Scholars. You know what it is to be a Rhodes Scholar among people like President Clinton and those fellas. Your name is written among them as Rhodes Scholars?
Mr. Ferguson, that is excellent. But the 14, 15-year-old in Woods Alley and in the communities around Woods Alley have to come to appreciate what that means. And I am persuaded that they don't have a deep appreciation of what it means. And they prefer to be, some of them, to be gangsters. Because that is what attracts them. That is what is attractive to them. That is what gets their adrenaline moving. That is when they see the rap artist in the United States, who they say is a multi-millionaire and he has all the bling-blings, that is more attractive to them than a Rhodes Scholar. So here we are. How do we fix it? How do we get them to understand that this Rhodes Scholar is what you should seek to be? That is the goal post, rather than the rap artist or the basketball player who is dumb but rich. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I follow what you're saying.
Yeah.
I follow what you're saying.
And so there are plenty dumb Americans who are extremely rich. They tell me something, this Beaver boy, whatever his name, Justin
just
Beaver,
just got problems
19
yesterday.
years old, got in trouble,
Yeah,
drinking,
speeding.
smoking, doing all sorts of things. But the youngsters are attracted to that kind of behavior than they are to a scholar.
That's the reason why you have to keep the focus on positive things. You have to do that. And I am happy to know that we have, and I remember you, one of your programs, you had a whole cadre of Bahamians who have excelled abroad, who are working in institutions all around the United States. Man, you know what this country could have gained if we had that kind of impetus locally, where the little fella out of the alley can look at someone who is a scientist, and they can relate to him and say, I used to be just like you.
Yeah,
But opportunity.
But Mr. Ferguson, Jesus had that problem.
Well,
Jesus had the same problem.
Jesus had the same problem.
Let's take this final break, and you can respond to that when we return. This is the final break on the platform. We'll come back.